entirely. And so they defunded it, but they didn't get rid of all of its programs. And then the guy that was running Total Information Awareness was this guy that was the top official in the Reagan administration, arrested for Iran-Contra, and he was pardoned by William Barr when he was Attorney General the first time. To Poindexter, who they considered basically the godfather of surveillance, and were like, how do we remake this as a private company? And they did that with the help of Richard Pearl, who was in the Bush administration at the time, considered one of the architects of the Iraq War, who's been a longtime agent for Israel embedded in the U.S. government. But basically, he wrote this policy document for Netanyahu when Netanyahu first came to power in the late 90s, being largely propelled into that role with the help of Ronald Lauder, an American billionaire. And the document basically said, like, we need to overthrow Saddam Hussein, and I also believe the Assad dynasty of Syria for Israel. And so, and then previously Pearl had a lot of other very suspect ties to, the Israeli state that should have gotten him thrown out of government forever, but did not. And so this is basically how Palantir comes to be, in addition to heavy funding from the CIA through NQTEL. And basically, CARP has admitted that Palantir was always intended to have the CIA basically be their main client, and that they, the CIA was their only client for their first several years of existence as a company, and that Palantir engineers went to CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, every 2 weeks for several years, having the CIA tweak their product. Intimately involved in this was one of the top information guys. I think the top executive, the CIO of the CIA, was a guy named Alan Wade, who, while he was in the CIA, co-founded a company called Gilead with Ghislaine Maxwell's sister, Christine Maxwell. So, this is basically the company that contracts for all reasons. One point on that I would point to is how Trump in his first term, there was the spate of mass shootings, I believe, in the latter half of 2019. And Trump called on social media companies to stop shooters before they commit a crime, and to basically flag what people were saying on social media and use that to determine if there should be intervention before a crime might be committed. Actually, William Barr, when he was in office the first time, created this program that legalized pre-crime in the United States, and I think I was like one of two people maybe that reported on that at the time. It was called Deep, and there's been a few arrests under Deep for people making Facebook posts and things like that, but not that many. But the legal framework has been there since Trump round one. But anyway, this pitch that Trump made about having social media spy on its users and use like analytics to bring about some sort of pre-crime society. He was being pitched at the time, and he was interested in it, but it didn't ultimately happen, in creating this agency called HARPA, which was supposed to be like the health version of the Pentagon's DARPA. And the program that they wanted to start with, the acronym was Safe Homes, and it was basically about analyzing American social media posts for early warning signs of neuropsychiatric violence, and then based on that, would either send people to a court-ordered psychologist or physician, or even house arrest without them having committed any crime. So now that we have big tech even more intertwined with Trump round two, people should really be paying attention to the stuff, especially now that Palantir, especially through the Doge, formerly led by Elon Musk agency, has sort of embedded Palantir in even more aspects of the government than it was in before, including like the IRS and mortgage stuff like Fannie Mae and all of that. All have Palantir now, and then basically giving them the keys to the kingdom with a lot of data that the Department of Treasury has about your finances, the IRS and all of that. All of this is going to go into this master database. And the goal of Palantir, just like it was with Total Information Awareness, is about stopping crime before it happens. It's pre-crime. And Palantir did that, for a few years, several years, in police departments around the country, piloting predictive policing programs, which is pre-crime, and mainly low-income minority neighborhoods, starting off in New Orleans. And now you have other companies besides Palantir that do this. There's one in LA called Predpol, and they have an accuracy of 0.5%. And they haven't gotten rid of the contract. So it's not really about better, more efficient policing. I mean, that's what it's going to be sold as. It's basically the idea that was developed, by the British for prison designs in the 1800s, the panopticon, the idea that people feel like they're constantly under watch. And, well, obviously out of the prison context, you can be in prison